I wanted to make this video on one specific thing that I think a lot of people out there are failing to realize with EComm Partnerships, LLC, Donny Doquisa, Irwin Soto. You guys aren't new to this channel. I'm making a very quick video. I want to try to cap it at 5 to 10 minutes here, but wire fraud, wire fraud. Why I bring this up, I want you guys to understand what actually took place when you wired them $25,000, $20,000, 15,000, whatever your initial buy-in. You know, when you had that conversation with Irwin, he's like, "Okay, we're going to need this money to get going," and then, supposedly to get your seller count up and going, all the behind the work scenes and all the stuff. The itemized the breakdown of what actually that 25,000 was for. I never got documentation. I don't even know what that was for. I don't even where that went, what it was spent on, how much. There was no itemized invoicing breakdown. I'm sure you guys never got one too. Okay. So with that being said, if that's the sole basis of what you guys are claiming, like, you wired the money, you didn't get anything in return, and if they intentionally, and that's the key, and this is just my opinion, but I really think I have something here. Because technically, if you want to break it down, what they did, if they're found guilty, and which I think they are, and that's just, I think they have to be, everybody's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and it has to take people to file charges on them. There has to be investigation. Somebody's got to pick it up. But what I'm saying here, all evidence points to my situation, and you guys have the same situation. When you wired them money, 25,000, whatever your dollar amount was. In my case, it was 25,000 across state lines. I was in Texas. I wired. Their headquarters was in California, Sacramento. Right? You guys know where the registered agent is. So when I did that, then here it is. I'm going to break it down in the bullet points. If you ever wired money to a company for an investment, and they basically tricked us, if that proves that that's what they did, again, I'm just speculating here, but there's a great chance that this is actually true. In my situation, I'm 100% sure it is. Wire fraud is when someone tricks you into sending money electronically, like a bank wire, as part of a scam or a false promise. Okay, it becomes federal automatically because wires almost always cross state lines. So this is the case. I wired them 25 from my USAA account in Texas, my checking account, to their EComm Partnerships Wells Fargo account in California. So the money was supposed to be the foundation of a managed Amazon business. I just like everybody else out there, right? You know exactly where I'm going with this. Instead, I was not given itemized accounting, invoices, clarity, where the funds actually went. That's my thing. And that's the basis how they breached the contract. And then it's my subsequent amended contract with them. But you have to understand here, I'm not chasing them down for wire fraud. This is a separate charge. This is a big deal. That's why you got to report this to the FBI Internet Crimes Division. You got to get the FTC involved. There could be serious criminal consequences if they're found guilty on doing this to multiple investors. Okay? And this is a serious offense. Wire fraud is a federal offense. That carries up to 20 years in prison, massive fines. That will shut their business down. That alone will. But again, that's jurisdictional. The right person has to pick that up. That's a criminal thing where the FBI, local law enforcement, federal law enforcement would have to open up their own case with that. That isn't a civil case. So if there's enough evidence, this is why I'm encouraging you guys to file an FBI IC3 report, file with the FTC, the regulators, all that whole Excel spreadsheet. My God, I can't tell you. If you guys want to bitch and complain that these guys stole money from you, they're fraudulent. Like I read all your comments. And whether that's true, I don't know. That's my opinion because they haven't been found guilty in a court of law. But I have a reason to believe. I I have a lot of probable cause to support that. And there's a lot of probable cause to have an open investigation started against EComm Partnerships LLC, Donny Doquisa, Irwin Soto. Okay. So that is and I'm just going to put in closing. I mean, you can see it right there. The takeaway is this. And I talked about this in other videos, and I'm going to continue to talk about this. Never wire money to a company you don't fully control or have an ironclad transparency from. Like I did it, you guys did it. We all fell victim to this predatory behavior of EComm Partnerships LLC. It's all over the internet now. The reviews are actually documented. Better Business Bureau. I know multiple people have filed with the FTC. Donny, Irwin, if you're listening, your best bet at this point is to run and hide, because you're not going to run and hide. You're going to be found. This is going to catch up to you. I guarantee you, the FTC, if enough people continue to do what we're doing, and I'm encouraging this, they are going to open up investigation, and that's a civil matter, and they'll shut down the business. But I am talking, this video is specific for the criminal element, that there is a grave possibility that this does exist, and I can prove it on my end. But again, I have to have the paper trail. I have to have the backing. I have to have other people do it. But on my end, I'm cool. I can prove this. And everything that I've established so far in my own track record and my own case prep and my own documentation and all the work I've compiled onto this, and all my legal counsel, there is evidence of wire fraud, but that's separate than civil. So I'm just mentioning this, how where you guys really just understanding the picture of what these guys actually did and the seriousness of what these guys pulled. If they are found guilty, if this evidence that I'm saying actually exists, if there's judgments, if stuff happens, you know, this is where it can go. To not only get their business shut down, but to see to it that Irwin and Donny are put in prison. And again, credit cards always give you the best protections. Even if you have to take cash advances out, the charge will be stated on the credit card. It will hit the transaction, and you can reverse those charges if fraud or criminal element, or anybody does things intentionally to take money from you in a fraudulent fashion. The credit cards will have your back if you give them good statements, you have proof, and you file. Because that's what's been going on to me. And all of my instances for the wholesale and private label ordering have been ruled in my favor. And that's key. That is key. If 50 people, 100 people did that alone, that would bankrupt them. Okay, but we're talking about the 25K, the money that I wired, and then whatever it is for you for the initial buy-in. That's the thing I'm talking about. So just remember, credit cards, always try your best to use credit cards, because once that cash is gone, it's almost impossible to claw it back unless you take them to court. And then when you take them to court, you got to have a judgment, your legal fees. And then even if you win, you got to be able to, they have to be liquid enough you're going to get something. They have to have assets where you can tie a lien to it, where you're going to be able to get something back. And who knows? It's a shit show. So this is where it's at. And I'm just basically making this video. I'm not accusing anybody. I have my reason to believe that they are guilty of this, but I don't know. This is my merely opinion based on my experience I went through with these guys. All evidence points to this is wire fraud. Okay, but again, that's criminal. I'm going after them on the civil aspect, and this is where your guys are going to go. Your guys are going to chase them down on the civil aspect. But the problem is, this is a small-time company. This is just two shitheads that got together, I really think, and tried to hoodwink people and steal money. And they're going to get caught. Judgment Day is coming, Irwin. Donny, if you're listening to this, and I know you two fucks are, you're not going to be able to run from this too much longer. The jig is up. Okay, so guys, I hope this video helps. Just keep all this in mind. Wire fraud, what it is, how you can tie it to them, how if you get enough evidence, they could be found guilty to this. But I'm not saying they are. This is just merely my opinion where this can go, and my opinion is they are guilty of wire fraud. Okay, so anyway, with that being said, this video is just made for entertainment purposes, not any outright accusations of guilt. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and it has to be evidence on the side. So no one, I'm not accusing them of this. It leads me to believe that this is where it could go. And that's my opinion based on my experience and what happened. So if this video helps, put it in the comments. What do you think of wire fraud? What do you think? Yeah, I know you guys wired them money. Do your own research, contact the lawyer, but fill out the FBI report. Contact your local law enforcement. Go Make sure you do all your reports, all right, with the regulatory and oversight bodies. All right, talk to you later.